Hey everybody, this is Gary. Um, I'm not your typical YouTube crypto guy, but I just wanted to give everybody my opinion on crypto, especially the meme coins. And I hold quite a few. I hold Pepe, I hold Scooby Doo, I hold Sonic, Wall Street Meme, Meme Combat, which just kind of came out recently, Shiba Inu. And I want to make it kind of clear to everybody that some of these expectations that people are coming up with for Shiba Inu are never, ever going to come to reality. And here's why. The big one is there are way too many tokens in the supply chain. Way too many. You have over 580 trillion tokens. And with that alone, you're never going to see Shiba get up there unless they burn off at least 588 trillion, because there's 589 trillion, and there would have to be 1 trillion left to see the price get anywhere close to a penny. And the reason I say this is because right now SHIB doesn't really have utility. Yeah, there's a few people like Taylor Swift said she's going to use it. You can buy concert tickets. Well, right now, if you were going to buy a Taylor Swift concert ticket, it's going to cost you a couple billion SHIB with the current price point. And it just isn't as versatile as Bitcoin or Ethereum. So, like, for instance, there's a car dealer in my area, and I live in Pennsylvania, that they will let you buy a car with Bitcoin or Ethereum. So if I had $50,000 worth of Ethereum, I could do the transfer to their wallet. I could buy a brand new car. And I'm going off the price tag of a Dodge Challenger SRT Scat Pack. That's one of the other things. The third thing, and this is the one that I have a big belief in because of what's been going on with the burns. You may or may not know that there was over $1 trillion, or not a trillion, scary, $1 million that was supposed to be burned to get rid of some of the Shiba Inu supply. And we accumulated that $1 million a couple of weeks ago. And then the dev team said, well, we're going to do it December 14th, 15th, and 16th. Well, this is December 23rd, and they've only burned 16 million SHIB, or 16 billion SHIB, excuse me. And that's not even close to $1 million worth of SHIB. And because they keep jerking people around, people lose faith. And I'm one of those that have lost faith. I actually got out of my position. I kept 1,000 tokens just as, just to say that, hey, I've been here. But when I got out, I basically almost broke even. I think I lost $20. And I just said, you know what, after holding this for, X amount of time and constantly being told that they're going to do this, this, and this, and then they never do it. And, and then they give you a little taste here. Oh, well, come on, we'll burn this here. We'll give you 8 billion. 8 billion tokens being burned isn't going to do anything. You need to add 3 more zeros and get that up to 8 trillion for it to even have some kind of impact. Because you have to lower the supply. The idea is supply and demand, right? So, for instance, there's only 21 million Bitcoin tokens. And so that trades higher. Plus, Bitcoin has a utility. It has a purpose. Back in the day, I remember when Bitcoin was first discovered. I lived in the Washington, D.C. area, and I believe it was Papa John's was the first place to say, for 10,000 Bitcoin, we'll sell you a pizza. Imagine the dumb individual that gave up $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. Well, we call him dumb now. He probably wasn't dumb back then because nobody knew what the utility was going to be for this. It's something new. What's cryptocurrency? How are we getting it? What's it coming from? And then I remember the story that some guy lost $10 million worth of Bitcoin when he accidentally threw out a hard drive. There was that story, although you don't know if it's true. It's just somebody that said something and it made it on a news tidbit with the local news or in the newspaper. I can't remember where I read it exactly. So time goes by. I admit I didn't have much faith in crypto, and I'm one of those people that, I lost a lot when my 401k got wiped out during the crash of '08. So rebuilding, I'll never be able to rebuild what I had. So I finally got into crypto within the last year and a half. And I thought, okay, the only way I'm going to be able to retire at 62 is if I somehow get lucky in the crypto market. So originally what I was doing when I jumped in was buying tokens that had a lot of zeros. So at least a minimum of 6 zeros to as many as 12. And then I was just hoping that these tokens would wipe out a good portion of those zeros. And recently that actually happened to me. I invested, I can't remember the exact amount, but it was less than $10 in this token. And I think it was 10 or 11 zeros were on it. And then like a week or so later, it dropped down to only having 4 zeros. And I'm like, ooh, well, all right, I ended up owning 5% of the supply. So, but the liquidity pool wasn't really where it needed to be. And, but I was able to cash out over $450. So that got me my initial $10 investment back plus $440, which I used to invest in Lunk and some of the others, which I don't even know if Lunk's going to be a good investment. So I threw some in Jesus Coin, Milady, stuff to make up for when I got rid of my Shiba Inu. And, people are like, oh, you're going to regret getting rid of your Shiba Inu. And I said, I don't regret it. I said, how are you going to let somebody who didn't even create the coin, has said that's the coin itself is not even their main purpose, because Bone and Leash are their tokens, and they keep making promises and they never keep them? I mean, how long can you continue to be strung along before you get fed up? And, and there was a lot of pushback recently, and I think maybe that's what drove them to start burning some the last couple of days. But it still isn't enough. And the simple fact is they're still sitting on close to $1 million they have not burned. And nobody's asking why. Okay? Nobody's saying a word. I mean, there's a few of us that are on there on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it. And we're complaining. We're letting our voices be heard. But they don't always listen. Well, in fact, they never listen. Right? And then tonight, Shytoshi the Shyster decides to make a post that it's not improbable that 99% of the Shiba Inu supply could be burned. Okay, who's coming up with the $5 billion to do that? Because that's the current market cap. And Claybro actually did a video about this earlier in the night. And I was just thinking about, like, I went on and I'm reading through the tweets, and I'm sitting there, like, all these people like, yeah, he's going to burn 99% of the supply. And I said, no, he's not. He's said it's not impossible or improbable, but he didn't say he's going to do it. And he doesn't have $5 billion. Remember, this is a dude that doesn't even want to show you who he is. Okay, he's an apparition. He's a, what do you want to call it? He's a, what the hell's the name of it? I can't think of it. But we'll just say he's a meme in and of itself. He's basically a figment of somebody's imagination, and I presume it's most likely some teenage kid who, hey, I'll give him some credit here. He got a dev team together, and he's been managing it to get to a specific point, which he accomplished, or they accomplished, excuse me. But it's done nothing to benefit SHIB. SHIB was at 4 zeros and a 1 before the Shytoshi appearance at the conference back in August. And then right after the first day, with his stupid book with his favorite cologne sprayed on it, which I'm assuming is Drakkar. Yes, I'm dating myself. Um, uh, it dropped. It added a zero and it dropped a lot. Like if you go and look at the chart, it sank deeper than the Titanic, and then it just hovered, between 5 zeros and an 8 and 5 zeros and a 6, and that was a good time for people to buy. Buy low, sell high, but eliminating that fifth zero doesn't really net you anything unless you're holding a lot of these tokens. And, back when they were 5 zeros and a 6, $10 is getting you about 1 million tokens, right? You realize, like, even if you spend $100 to get 10 million tokens, that isn't going to net you anything because the Ethereum gas fees are going to kill you. Unless you bought it through Coinbase or somewhere, which is where I held most of my shit. But the simple fact comes down to this. Don't expect it to hit a penny. It is definitely not going to happen with 7 days left in the year. Unless there is some Christmas miracle. It's just, not going to happen. People are posting all over X, Twitter, whatever. Oh, it's going to hit a penny before New Year's Eve. That's not going to happen. Not in a million years. And, there's, to be honest with you, if SHIB developed an actual system to use it like you could to buy a car with Bitcoin and Ethereum, you would be maybe seeing it increase to a certain point. But right now, with that infrastructure not existing at the current pace, everybody's saying 2050. By my calculations, it would be closer to 2079, which would make me 108 years old. So any SHIB I held would have had to have been passed on to my son. And who knows if he'd lived to even see that. He was born in 2015. So, 2079, that makes him 64 years old. And where is that benefiting him? And even then, it would most likely inflation is going to go up to the point that even if you sold enough to make $1 million, that $1 million is going to be worth what, $100 in 2023 money? Because right now it's like, look, I remember when you could buy a brand new Mustang 5.0 LX for $10,000. You can't even touch a 5.0 Mustang GT for less than 40 grand. Okay? That's a 400% increase in almost 40 years. So that was 1988 price that I quoted, and this is 2023, so 35 years. So what do you think is going to happen in 35 more years? What do you think that $40,000 Mustang GT is going to be? It's going to be close to like $250,000, even if they even exist then. But I'm just saying, you've got to think about this. Don't get your hopes up on Shiba Inu. It's not going to happen. There are other tokens out there, and if you really want to become a millionaire, you need to find a token that has a very low supply, that has a lot of zeros at the jump, and is going to go up really fast. Because it needs to drop half of those zeros, and you need to hold a healthy amount. So, like I said, I bbought this coin the other day. There's 11 billion of them. I own 5% of the supply, which is 589 million. I sold 40 million to get my cat, $450, right? So I made my investment back and then some. And, but that's basically the only way that you're ever going to get rich unless you're playing the games with the whales. Now, the other way might be with this BTC ETF, but it's not going to benefit Shiba Inu. The Bitcoin ETF is really going to benefit Bitcoin. And unless you buy into the actual physical ETF, which is not even in the crypto itself, there's no guarantee you're going to make any money off of that, because it depends on where the starting point is. So just keep these things in mind and don't get drawn into the bullshit hype. Keep your expectations, low. Because I'll tell you, I got caught up in it, because there were so many videos in the early days when I got in. It's like this guy Levi and some of these other shysters out there. Where, chips are going to be a penny, it's going to do this, it's going to explode tomorrow morning. And it never happened. And these guys kept doing it and kept doing it. But there's about 3 guys that kept it real. And they're the 3 guys I continue to watch to this day. The first one is Claybro. The second one is Matthew Perry. And the third is December DeMarco. They are the only guys I am willing to listen to. And even December's a little more pro Shiba than I am. And I keep telling him and giving him examples of why I don't think it's going to do what it's going to do. And he said, no, I think you're wrong. And I was like, well, only time's going to tell. But, like I said, how many times can somebody say they're going to do something and they don't do it before you finally lose all faith in that individual? I lost faith in the Shiba dev team. And you should really do your own research, but keep your expectations in check. And honestly, sit and ask yourself, if you're holding 50 million Shiba Inu, are you willing to sit on that? Because that's about $800. Are you willing to sit on that in hopes it's going to get to that penny, which will get you $5 million? Or no, it wouldn't even get you that. Get you $500,000, excuse me. Or are you willing, or are you just tired of being lied to constantly? And should you get out and try to recoup most of your money and look for something else? I think there are better coins out there, and some of those are like Jesus Coin, Milady, Pepe's doing really well. Honorarium's a new one that I recently picked up. It's the symbol's HRM, and it's on the Binance chain, so the gas fees aren't choking you to death. I bought the BTC ETF coin that was coming out, and it cost me more in gas fees than it did to buy the 5,000 tokens that I bought and staked. Now, I will say the staking rewards have been great with that, but everything else, total garbage. I think I bought, I bought 5,000 coins, and it was, I don't know, what was it, like $40, but I paid over 70 in gas fees, and that was at non-peak hours. Honestly, the best way that you're going to get the better bang for your buck is to buy stuff off the Binance chain. And I'm not supported by anybody. I mean, hell, I got 3,000 subscribers, so I'm not supporting any platform, nor are they supporting me. I'm just telling you what I have in my portfolio. I have a Kraken account, Coinbase, a MetaMask, and what's in my ledger. And, if I took everything and combined it, I probably own close to 200 tokens, and it's probably got a net value of maybe $2,800. So that'll tell you what it is. But I buy a lot of new coins. I think it's better to spend $5 and buy a bunch of these coins and roll the dice, and maybe one hits, maybe one doesn't. And then if I ever get to that millionaire status, then I can go looking for, the coins that are going to grow on a constant basis. But keep your expectations in check. Don't trust Shiba Inu. That's my opinion. I honestly think that all the promises being made are never going to be kept, and you're just going to be left holding the bag. So that's my 2 cents. Have yourself a great night.